of suicide.
Hello, everyone. We are
Finally live back
We're
here
back.
at home.
We're back. Last week we were in Germany.
We got to see a horse show.
Yes, we were in Aachen.
I'd never been to Aachen before, and it was
I
quite
haven't
spectacular.
either.
We got to see the driving with the carriages, which was really, that is awesome.
The horses synced up. We got to see, what other events did we like?
All of them. We saw some of the jumping.
We saw the quadrilles. That was fun.
Yeah, the quadrilles were great.
To music, like 4 riders riding together, doing their little patterns.
The Aachen show was
America,
United States,
which was weird.
So everything, it was the 4th of July, and so the quadrille, most everybody had
an
American flag for their tailcoats and whatnot,
which was interesting.
And then they had the one group that was dressed up like Top Gun.
That was cool.
That was cool.
I also watched a little bit of the jumping. They did this like jumping derby, which was crazy. They like went through the water and then had to jump out, but then a horse fell down, which I don't like that. I don't like it when the horses fall down.
It's scary.
Yeah. But it was amazing to be at Aachen because it's such a part of the culture there. Like there were just hundreds of people, and like the parking was insane and the crowd was insane. Like in the Grand Prix, whenever anyone would make a mistake, you could
everybody would gasp,
which you don't like.
I don't like that. I mean, come on, you've not been to a horse show before. Things happen.
Yeah. And I don't think that's nice for the rider or
right. Everybody way over the top with, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
So anyways, we had great seats. We were like on the second row. If you watch Clip My Horse, you might be able to see us there.
Right, because we were to the right of the camera. So
yes, we were like in the second row. But it was really fun. So we got to watch the Grand Prix special, the 4-star freestyle and the 5-star freestyle. And it's like basically all the top combinations. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them.
I was wearing my American flag hat, fishing hat.
Yeah, so if you look for him.
If you see a fishing hat with the American flag, that's me.
So who was your favorite horse and rider combination? Who stood out in your mind?
I still really like that gray Lusitano. He thought he was so cute.
Who else did you like?
Well, Frederick was just amazing, I thought. They just, I like to watch large men ride because that's what I am. And I go, ooh, that's what I want to do.
That's interesting that you liked him because I did not particularly like him.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like I thought his rides, so we're talking about, what's his last name? Frederick Wondrous. His rides were very harmonious and fluid, but I feel like they lacked like the spectacular,
right, okay,
like
it didn't have the fire.
Yeah. I like the fire. See, I like the horses that are a little overexpressive and tense versus the ones that are like calm and boring. Even though I know like the calm and boring sometimes score better.
I don't know that it's boring. Ow. I like that.
Okay.
So I'm taking offense to the boring.
Okay. Let us know in the chat. Who's your like favorite rider horse combination?
But like everybody else who probably watched it on Clip My Horse and everybody who was in the stadium, when Isabel did the pee-off down the line in the freestyle and the horse just took over and did it, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Like she
just looks up at the sky.
Because the horse starts taking over and she feels it and just looks up and goes, this is my horse. And the horse was just on, like you said, on fire with that pee-off.
Yeah. That was amazing.
That just took my breath away.
And so we put together a YouTube video. I think we're going to try to publish it on Saturday, but we got some great footage and we put together a YouTube video. We have that clip of Isabel. We have some other great clips that we took for you. And so we're going to make sure to publish that so you all can get like a visual of what we're talking about with Aachen because it was just amazing. One of my favorite riders that we got to see Glamourdale and Lottie Fry, which was just like Glamourdale is like a unicorn. Like you see
Glamourdale
it's unreal. Like he doesn't even look like a real horse.
He is unbelievable. He does everything well.
And the frame and the connection, like her hands are just together and in front and the expression and the reach, like especially in the flying changes, the extended canter is just amazing. And I think that was one of my biggest takeaways from the show overall is the rider position. Like every single one of those riders,
right, the riders are all just
amazing.
there. And for those of us who are, just normal
Down
people,
here,
right, just
not
normal
up here.
folks, we only saw like half a dozen mistake-free rides.
That's true. There were mistakes.
There was all of those riders. I think there was only half a dozen flawless rides with no mistakes.
Yeah. But still, I mean, the riders, like their heels were down, their hands were together in front,
and they're quiet.
And their seat was like in perfect harmony with the horse.
You don't see these obvious aids.
No. And that was the biggest thing too, is I think these horses were trying so hard. Like you got all emotional.
When you can just see that the horse understands and is trying, and you can just tell the horse is trying. And that is, that kills me every time.
Yeah.
And that's why that little gray horse, he was so hard. Yeah, okay. So, he doesn't have the gaits, but he was really trying hard.
Yeah. But I definitely feel like going there and watching that, it up levels your expectations, where you go home and you're like, okay, I have to ride better. Like that's what it boils down to, is you have to work on your position. You have to work on your seat. You have to work on riding with more subtle and invisible aids. And
so basically we just have to ride better.
Yeah.
That's all there is.
You have to have a good horse, but you have to ride better. There wasn't a single rider that had a bad position.
Right.
Like
everybody rode well.
And that's key. That's key to communicating with your horse. So a few of the riders that I liked, I really liked Patrick Kittle. I'm surprised you didn't like him. But again, Patrick Kittle is like a big guy.
Yes.
But he
rides quiet.
Yeah, and he's so soft. Like his shoulders and his arms are really following the movement. And he was riding Jovian. Jovian's a really big horse, and Jovian has the most amazing extended trot.
And he extends.
Yeah. The Piaffe is a little bit harder.
The collection is a little tricky for him. Yeah. Because he moves out so big.
Yeah.
If they extend that much, getting him back to collection could be tricky.
One of the other riders that I liked was Dinya Van Leeuwen.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, I liked her.
Yeah.
So she's a Dutch rider. And what I liked about her was, again, her position. And so I watched her warm up for the freestyle day. I was like, I'm just going to go watch the warm up, because you learn a lot by watching the warm up. Of course, the freestyle is incredible, but you can see that on TV. And so I was like, I'm just going to go and watch the warm up. And what was interesting about her is that in the Piaffe, she kept taking her leg completely off. Like her lower leg was totally off.
And not like the Thulwell pony but it hangs soft. It just doesn't.
Yeah. So she'd take her leg off and expect the horse to Piaffe. And then if the horse quit or stopped, she would give a little correction and then take the leg off. And I think that's the beauty of this sport done well, is that your horse is almost doing it on their own. And the ability to make it look easy, to be able to get through a Grand Prix test and have it look easy and effortless for the horse and for the rider, it's
a testament to the skill.
Yeah. It's testament to skill. Okay. So let us know in the chat, who's your favorite horse and rider combination? Oh,
we had a vote for Jessica and Dalera.
They weren't there, unfortunately.
Right. But that's still her favorite, obviously.
One of the other interesting ones was that Maxima Bella horse. She was in the 4-star freestyle. She had the most incredible passage. Remember the one she looks like a stallion?
Yeah. That horse is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, her passage was just like so high.
That horse was
so
terrific.
Active. It was amazing to watch that combination. So overall, yeah, just so many good horses, so many good riders. How did the Americans do? Stefan had a really nice freestyle that we saw with Mopsy. And it was crazy. The freestyle started at 9:30 p.m. So they went till what, like
11:30?
11:30. And right now in Germany,
That was the 4-star, because the 5-star was Sunday
morning.
morning, and that was 3 hours.
Yeah, but the days are so long. It's
Right,
like
because you
we
can
didn't
see
sleep the whole time.
You can see the North Pole. You're like at the Arctic Circle.
Yes. So other things, we stayed at this very cool Airbnb in Belgium, like just over the border, and it was really cute, like old architecture, you know, like when the houses are all built next to each other.
Right.
Whatever they call
All the
that.
stones and the cobblestone road. It's just all very medieval.
We got pulled over and harassed by the German police.
Polizei, yes.
Yeah, we got like flagged and pulled over. And note to self, you're supposed to always carry your passport.
Right.
I've never carried my passport because I thought you should leave it at your hotel room so it didn't get stolen.
Or, you lose it somewhere. But apparently you should always have it with you.
Yes.
Otherwise you will pay the Polizei $25.
Yeah, they asked him, they're like, how much money do you have? He pulls out his billfold. They're like, we fine you $25. So
but I did get a receipt, so it's not like when I'm south of the border and I have to pay the federale.
Yeah, so that was exciting. What else exciting happened on our trip? We got to see some young horses, which was always fun. We went around and tried some horses, and I think just overall the quality of riding in horses is higher there. So it's fun, it's inspiring, it's good to go. The plane rides, we had terrible seats on the way there, screaming children. I got puked on by a baby, so that was exciting.
Little spit up there.
Yes. On the way home, we had an XRO, which was very nice, and it was worth it. So we highly recommend go to Aachen or go to the Olympics or go watch those big competitions, because it's
World
different
Cup's
in
going
person.
to Texas.
2026.
2026.
I thought it was this year, but yeah, 2026. This year
it'd be easy to get. It's easier to get to Texas.
Yes. So let me know if you're if you want to go see World Cup in Texas 2026. I think we'll go.
Yeah, we'll go. I should still be alive.
Hopefully. But seeing those horses in person is different than seeing them on video, for sure. You can get a lot with video. I mean, it's amazing that we get to watch all these competitions on the video, but to be there in person and like the atmosphere at Aachen was so exciting because the crowd was like,
they're into it,
really,
and they know.
and
here's, and that was another thing that was really pretty great was the spectator scoring. No, the spectator scoring, right?
Yeah.
And they had all the horses placed.
So explain what spectator scoring is, because they probably don't know.
There's an app that you can download, and then you score. The audience scores the test along with the judges, and then
they announce it.
They announce it, and the ranking of what the audience did, and they had all the horses in the right order.
Yeah, so that's fun too. And it is in the freestyles, the crowd was like so loud and so clapping. Some of the horses had a hard time going into the ring, because that's the hard part, is they're in the warm-up, and the warm-up's really quiet. And then they go through the entrance right into the stadium.
Some horses have trouble with that. There was a couple that spun around and were like, yeah, no.
Yeah. So but it's also, I think it makes it fun for the audience when everyone's like cheering and clapping, and just, I think everyone was so supportive of the riders and the horses. I mean, that was the coolest thing, was it was just, you could feel that the audience wanted them to do well and was invested in them having a good performance. And I think it was cool to be a part of that and to just be surrounded by such an educated audience as well. You could tell that they all knew like what they were looking at. So yes, Aachen was amazing. We're very glad to be home, because it's always hard to leave the horses and Levi and all of the things here, but it's also good to get out of your comfort zone. Okay, other topics. So this week's YouTube video, we're supposed to be talking about inside leg to outside rein. So let us know in the chat there if you have any questions. This week's YouTube video was me riding Victor. Victor is a 5-year-old that I have in training. You know Victor.
Yes.
And I was introducing the leg yield to him. So that's a interesting video because it's definitely like his first time really doing leg yields. How do you introduce leg yield to a young horse?
I turn early and let centrifugal force take over and drift off towards the rail, and I put my inside leg on there. And so then the
Okay.
horse starts to go, oh, there, he's doing that leg thing, and we're going sideways. There's the leg, we're going sideways, and then I tidy it up.
Yeah. But there definitely is an element of that, you know, when you introduce a new movement, it's not perfect the first time.
Right.
Right. And it's like, I think it's also important when you're teaching your horse something new to notice a step in the right direction and to not expect it to be perfect. But like Herman said, if they're kind of like, oh, we're moving over, then
I tell them they're
reward
great
them.
and you know, reward the effort. We went sideways. That's what I wanted. And then, you know, as I get sideways more consistently, or it just feels more, then I start to try and get more parallel and a little more under control with the balance, and maybe not so much on the outside front leg. And
Yeah.
but I just need to start. I just needed to start.
Yeah. And the reason that the leg yield is a really important exercise to introduce to young horses, or any horse really, is because it helps to get your horse moving more evenly left and right. So with Victor, for example, the leg yield off my right leg is actually not that hard for him. But when I do the leg yield off my left leg, he really just wants to fall through the right shoulder. Like I have a really hard time getting left leg to right rein connection. And so that's why the leg yield is useful, is because first of all, it makes you aware of how asymmetric your horse is.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also starts to teach your horse to use their body evenly left and right, so that they're really connected from the inside leg and into the outside.
Right, because you have to be able to ride your horse diagonally through. And it doesn't even matter. I mean, even if you're going left with a bend left, you still need to have your horse right leg to left hand.
Yeah. The other exercise that I really like for the leg yield is the leg yield staircase. So that's where you go a few steps over, straight, a few steps over, straight.
So the horse really gets reminded about what it's doing, right? So it's not just the drift sideways, like I was saying. It's like leg aid, now not. And so it really clears it up for them in the mind.
Yeah. But it is basically, once, like the first aids that you teach a young horse is go, turn, stop. Like that's like the basic, right? And then once your horse understands those aids, then you want to start putting in the diagonal aids, the inside leg to the outside rein. And it helps to get your horse straighter and more symmetrical. It also starts to help your horse to lift up their back and correctly use their top line. Because when you do a leg yield, you're engaging the inside hind leg. And then what you'll feel when your leg yield is done correctly is you'll feel that the shoulders and the withers lift and connect into the outside.
Right, because the inside hind leg there is starting to take some weight.
We have questions in the chat. Oh, Donna has a question.
Where's the one about the shoulder? Are you
She
covering
says,
it so I can't see it?
I'm trying to teach my.
No, I want in the leg yield, the shoulder. That's
the shoulder slightly.
You do
leads.
The one that you were looking at, and I'll get the other one.
Okay, Lori says in the leg yield, the shoulder slightly leads right, and the haunches are straight behind.
And she asked right. So, yeah, in the rule book it says that the shoulder leads slightly. So, what does that mean exactly? I think about it having the shoulders then over the outside hind leg, as opposed to like in shoulder in or coming down the long side when we talk about relative straightness, and the shoulders over the inside hind leg. So when I do my leg yield, so that shoulder leading slightly is whatever the width of your horse there, 3-4 inches, just so the shoulder's over the outside hind instead of the inside hind. And so then it looks straight, but the shoulder is slightly leading because it's over the outside hind instead of the inside.
Yeah,
that's
but
what I
do. Just a little, like,
yeah, it's, you don't want it on 2 tracks
because then your horse just making a diagonal.
Which then where's the other one that says, yeah, there's Janice. Yes, one of mine really tries to overbend and avoid the hind leg moving over. Right, that's what happens if the shoulder leads too much.
Yes. Okay.
So anyway, that's the visual aid for me. Is if I'm behind it, I just see that the shoulder's over the outside hind, and then I'm happy.
All right. Donna has a question. I'm trying to teach my young horse half halts and she's not getting it. How do I explain it better?
The simple answer is full halt, right? So if you're at canter, you go to trot. You're at trot, you go to walk. At walk, you halt.
That's the simple answer.
Right.
My answer is more complicated. What is a half halt?
Right. That's just a rebalancing.
Or getting your horse's attention. That's the definition of a half halt. Rebalancing your horse or getting your horse's attention.
And it doesn't really do much for the engagement and the collection until the horse is trained that far along.
Right. So with a young horse,
you don't want to be thinking about collection and engagement.
But with a young horse, it's probably more about getting their attention, right?
Yeah.
And helping them balance so that they're not like you can't really expect them to collect, but you also want to regulate the tempo and the balance so they're not going
right, because you have to have them even on all four legs.
Yeah.
They're not built that way. We teach it to them, but they need to be balanced on all four legs so that you can make them maneuverable.
So if I'm riding a young horse and they won't have halts, what I do a lot is turn and yield, because turning them is going to get their attention, right? Because you're turning and you're like, hey, look to the inside, we're turning.
That softens the rib cage.
Right. So like if they're just staring off and running down the long side, turn and make a circle, because pulling back on two reins is not going to help. But if you can turn and get them a little inside leg to outside rein, that's going to help them. And then, that was my only suggestion. Oh, watch their ears, right? So that's one thing that if they're just staring outside of the arena, bend them and put a little inside leg on until they
look into where they're working. There's no reason for them to look outside the arena because we've got that. That's what we do.
Yeah. So hopefully that will help you. Other exciting news. So for those of you who are in Strides or the Training Scale Masterclass, we had Hillary Clayton as a guest speaker earlier this week, which was fun. So in my programs, I always like to bring in like different guest speakers, different experts. Hillary Clayton, she's a veterinarian. I think she's like a physicist. She's done a bunch of different.
She is very well educated.
Yeah. She's done a lot of scientific studies about riding and training.
And the biomechanics, that's her book, is the biomechanics of the horse and the rider. So, and she's got all the research to back up her story.
Yeah. So it's
a good book too, if you wanted to read it.
Yeah, it was great to hear her talk. And she showed basically all these really interesting graphs that graphed the force between the rider and the horse at the walk, trot, and canter, which was really interesting to see because obviously the force was very equal in the walk. Mm-hmm. Which makes sense because the walk is a movement that doesn't have suspension. Like it's not bouncy, right?
Right. There's a foot on the ground the whole time. One foot's on the ground at whatever point.
So it's kind of like a plate moving around.
Rolling.
Yeah. And so because of that, there's not a lot of force variation between the horse and the rider. The trot, on the other hand, has a lot. So basically every time that the horse lands and they hit the ground, you also hit in the saddle. Mm-hmm. Even if you're sitting the trot well, there's that moment of concussion where, you and the horse come together. So that was interesting to see. And then the canter is asymmetric. So the canter, again, it's like it has a different shape to the graph. The canter actually has more force than the trot, but it's more spread out.
Yep.
Like the trot's like bounce, 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 and the canter's more spread out. So I was like, all right, so what's the moral of this story? Like, how do we learn from that? And I think that the moral of the story is a couple of things. I think walk breaks are really, really important for your horse because it gives their muscles the time to recover. And it's also not so much concussion on them or on you. So especially if you're trying to build up fitness for you or for your horse, remember to take those walk breaks to give your horse kind of that break.
Right. Because otherwise you get to fatigue and then things start getting torn apart.
Yeah. And then I think it's also what those graphs showed me as a rider too, is to do more transitions between the gaits because the biomechanics of the gaits are different. And so they stress different things and they use your horse uses their back and their SI a lot differently in the canter than they do in the walk and the trot. So that's why doing a lot of transitions, trot, canter, trot, trot, walk, trot, that's really healthy for your horse rather than just staying forever at the same gait.
Right.
Yeah.
Change is good.
Yes. The other thing that was interesting, so she had like this pressure mat that she put under the saddle, and then she showed bareback. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't see that one.
So for bareback, it puts so much pressure where your seat bones are. There's like these huge pressure spikes on the graph. So
that's good because I don't ride bareback. Because why would you do that to yourself?
But so the moral of the story is that, you know, the saddle does help to spread out the weight and to distribute the weight properly. But you do want to make sure that your saddle fits your horse correctly. And she did also say that the sheepskin pads have been proven to help distribute the weight, which is what I always put a sheepskin pad under, because something about the animal fibers themselves, that they help to absorb some of that concussion and shock
and distribute it.
Yeah. If your saddle isn't fitted perfectly.
Right. It spreads the load.
Yeah. So that was really interesting. Hillary Clayton, she also talked about like when your horse is hollow and their back is hollow, and that can cause kissing spine. And so what should we do about that? And one thing that I love that she said is she was like, back your horses up on the ground, under saddle, back them up for more than just 3 or 4 steps.
Right.
Like
back them up, get 10 steps out of it.
Even backing in circles, which is so funny because I learned backing in circles from the Western, like from the cowboys. They would always back their horses in circles. I remember Larry used to back his horses up like banks. Like he would put their butt on a hill and make them back up a hill. So backing your horse up is a really good way to get your horse's hind end stronger and to strengthen their back. And it's something that's not a lot of wear and tear on them, right? You can't do 50 extended trots. You shouldn't even do extended trot every day.
Right.
But you can back your horse up every day. So, and she also recommended doing carrot stretches to activate and stretch their back muscles. So one thing that I really try to do, and that's important, like both for me and also for the students in my programs, is bring in those experts, like get Hillary Clayton. We have a judge coming in for strides, an S-level judge. Who else do we have coming in? We have a bunch of guest lecturers coming into our programs because I think that that's what I want to keep learning.
Right. Education is key.
Yeah. So that was interesting. We also, for those of you in training scale masterclass, I've done, I think, like 50 video reviews this week. But I'm so proud of you. If you're in training scale masterclass and I reviewed your video, it's really fun to be able to help you and to see your video and to give you homework. And then you go and you do the homework and you come back and it's better. Like there was this one student, and last week she couldn't get the right lead canter. And so I like watched her video and I was like, okay, he's not really bending, and that's why he's not picking up the right lead canter. And I told her to do the snowman. And then this week she was like, I got it. And look, I can get the right lead canter. And like, and then it was so funny today too. The students in the chat, I was like giving advice and they were like, how do you see this so fast? Like, how are you able to just see a video and immediately hone in on the problems and tell us, you know, what we should be doing? And I think it's
experience counts.
Yeah. Like we've taught hundreds of riders and hundreds of horses. And I remember when I was first learning to teach, I didn't know what to do. Like I was literally like, I don't know how to teach. And no one really teaches you how to teach.
Well, because it's a different skill than riding.
Yeah. So it's, I've taught a lot now and I've learned how to do it, but it's hard. It's hard to be able to see a video and figure out what they're doing wrong.
And sometimes I miss.
And what's the most important thing to fix first. But you're really good, I think, at making things simple, which is important. You know, you like say it in a way that's really simple and really like go and do this. And then
step A, step B, step C. And then we can adjust.
But I think what happens sometimes when you don't have help and you're riding alone is that you start at step C.
Yeah.
Like you start by fixing the wrong thing first. For example, we all like to fix our horse's head. So we try to fix the frame first.
And that is never okay. So
before the horse is going forward, before the horse is supple. So
and Janet Foy, when I was going through the judges stuff, and she just said, 90% of submission problems are impulsion problems.
Forward is your friend.
So there's that.
Yes. So anyways, I hope you found this entertaining. Make sure to stay tuned.
I never got to do the reaction respond thing.
Oh, okay. Go. That's a good point. I don't want to miss that.
So about it's probably like a month ago now, we were
during boot camp.
During one of
Let us know in the chat if you loved boot camp, because it was awesome.
And somebody had asked about reaction and responding, right?
Because one of the trainings I did was aid, reaction, response. No. Oh my God, I can't even say it now.
It's been a long time.
Aid, reaction, release, repeat. Like that's how you train a horse. You give an aid, you get a reaction, you release the aid, you repeat. But then,
and I had said something about I want to get a reaction. When I close my leg, I want a reaction. And then somebody asked in the chat, do you want a reaction or a response? And it's a reaction that I want. It's not a response, right? So that got me thinking, and I had to go do some research. I did some reading, right? So a reaction has a negative connotation because people's childhood trauma, and then you have some interaction at work and you react, right?
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Reaction has a negative connotation compared to response.
You go to therapy and we talk about, how do we respond to a certain situation? And that's not horseback riding. When I close my leg, my horse needs to go. He needs to react. And so if that gets something going on in the chat, then that's cool.
Yes.
But
let us know if you think
if you want your horse to respond or if you want your horse to react, because I want my horse to react. I don't want him to think.
my husband to respond.
Yes.
But I would like my horse to react.
I get that. And I react quite a bit. I'm very reactive. But I want that in my horses because it's not, we're not having a committee. We're not discussing this. I want the reaction, and then I can fine tune that reaction. So,
but that's getting your horse on the aids, is that they're just giving you, it's training a reaction. It's like my leg back means canter. But I do agree that it has a bit more of a harshness to it versus response could be seen as softer. And that's the hard part, right? Is that
we're using words to describe images and and what I say makes a certain picture to these people, but that same word has a different picture to other people. And so
so
there you have it. Anyway, so somebody brought up that question and I thought it was an important one. So
and honestly, my team and I have had that discussion because for a while we said aid response. And then I, like Joelle and my mom, who's amazing and part of our team, she voted for response, but then I was like reaction. So it was like a debate in our team.
And because, reaction has that negative connotation, but I'm going to go with reaction.
Yes. So
anyway,
move your head so everyone can see Levi.
Yes, everybody loves Levi.
Everyone's been commenting. This is what Levi thinks of dressage. And show them a picture. Herman went halibut hunting. Do you have a picture of your boat and your fish? Oh, he's going to the other room. So Herman got a new boat and they went out fishing today and they got a bunch of halibut. So we're going to be eating lots of halibut. Let us know if you'd like to come over and we'll make you some fish tacos. But he was very happy that he took his new boat out and look at all those fish that they got. Hold it still. Although his friend is smiling, but he's not really.
I'm smiling on the inside.
So that's his new boat, and those are his halibut. So
that was our day.
Anyways, we hope you all have a wonderful Thursday. Stay tuned for our Aachen recap because we're going to share some awesome clips that are going to get you inspired to ride even better and work on your position. And we'll see you all next Thursday. I think we will be here. We don't have any